the AI Las Vegas's first virtual member meeting, Navigating the New Normal. We are pleased to have all of you in attendance, and especially want to thank our panelists for sharing their experience and views on the changes brought about through the coronavirus. First of all, we want to thank our sponsors for making this meeting possible, and in particular, start with our visionary sponsors for 2020, who are John A. Martin and Associates, Clyde Juba Walled Interiors, Architecture and Interiors, KNIT, and our platinum sponsors are Nevada Sales Agency, Harris Consulting Engineers, TJK Consulting Engineers, Nevada Lighting, 501 Studios. And our gold sponsors are Aria Landscape Architecture, American Insurance and Investment Corp., Assurance Limited, Loxaw Engineering, Southwick Landscape Architects, and Terp Consulting. And our silver sponsors are Bank of Nevada, Core Construction, Helix Electric, JLLP Inc., LGA Architecture, Lage Design, NV5, Pogemeyer Design Group, Silverlands Inc., SR Construction, and EPG Design. So thank you to all of our sponsors for 2020. So to move us along here, all of us are experiencing the new normal, what we've been hearing about, but what does it really mean? What is the new normal? The COVID-19 crisis brought changes to our economy, to our profession, to our community, and even how we're designing now. For the next hour or so, we're going to have AI members and friends here to have an open dialogue and honest discussion, and so that they will share their experiences and discuss how they're navigating what we're calling this new normal. Toward the end, we left about 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A, so you'll have an opportunity to actually ask questions. So at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a Q&A button. You can actually click on that and post a question there, and we'll get to as many as we can towards the end and answer what we can. And then also, this video is being recorded, so you'll be able to rewatch it and share it with others in the following days. So before we get started, I'd like to ask our panelists to take about 30 seconds, introduce yourself, your firm, maybe the type of work you do, just briefly. And I'm just gonna kind of start at what I see on my screen in my upper right, which is Sean. So Sean, if you could just take a minute or so and tell us a little bit about you and your firm.
Thanks, Lance, appreciate it. I'm Sean Coulter, principal at Simpson Coulter Studio, a firm here in the Valley. And we have about 31 people right now. And we work on community-based projects, you know, schools, libraries, government facilities, things like that. And so we're plugging away, and hopefully we'll keep plugging away as we move forward.
Right. Thanks, Dwayne.
Hi, thanks, Lance, and thanks everybody for joining us tonight. My name's Dwayne Eschenbaum, I'm the principal at Novus Architecture. We're a 10-person firm located down in the Arts District, and we do a lot of different types of work, hospitality work, you know, commercial, some higher ed work. And we just, last year, we just celebrated our 10th anniversary. And I think it's kind of funny, or not funny, but ironic that I started the company during the last economic downturn, and here we are again.
Thanks, Dwayne. And Michael?
So Mike Delgado, Carpenter Sellers Delgado Architects, also located here in Las Vegas. We do work regionally. We've done some work nationally for some of our clients. We split between public and private, probably 50-50 at any given time, but never a 50-50. Sometimes it's higher in one sector or the other. We've been around 33 years. I have two partners, Rick Sellers and Michelle Brigida, and we're just like to have fun with what we're doing.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Eric?
Thanks, Lance. Eric Roberts. I'm the president and CEO of KNIT. We're a firm of about 40 people now with offices in Las Vegas, Seattle, and Salt Lake. We do a lot of community-based projects and also some multifamily and private work in our offices around the West Coast, and also have some global projects that we've been able to be a part of over the years. We're on our third generation of leadership at the firm. founded in Las Vegas in '85.
Great, thank you. And Troy, we'll go to you next.
Thanks, Lance. Troy Moser, Moser Architecture Studio. We're a team of about 26 these days. We focus primarily on hospitality design projects, ranging from, I mean, you name it, anything and everything that happens on a hotel casino property. We've probably touched on one or more of those types of things. We try to stay engaged in the community as well. Been involved with the Children's Museum for almost 20 years now. We founded the firm back in '05, and we continue to stay busy for the time being, thank goodness, and hope to do so going into the future. So thanks for the opportunity to be here with you tonight.
Great, thanks, Troy. Anne, we'll go to you next.
Sure. I'm Ann Johnson, principal of Sparklight Studios, and we've been in practice one form or another since 2004 here in the Valley, and we're a small but mighty team of 4. So I'm rounding out with a micro firm and how that impacts everything. We've been working remotely since March 18th, and pros and cons. So we'll get more into that with that discussion. I look forward to it.
Great, thank you. And Craig, I'll have you finish up.
Oh, great. Craig Galati, principal with LGA Architecture. And we're a 17-person firm. We practice primarily in the public sector and produce projects that are about visitor experience. So we tend to favor museums, interpretive centers, parks and recreation, and libraries.
Great, thank you. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here and taking your time. We're hoping to keep this right around an hour or so, wrapping up around 6:30, 6:40. So to get started, the questions I'll be asking, it's an open dialogue, so keep your mics open, jump into the conversation, give input where you can, thoughts, experiences you've had. So as we consider this an informal roundtable, just want to hear from everybody. So as we get started, I'll probably start off with kind of some light questions, and then get into some specific areas and looking towards the future as well. But I'll start with the first question, and anybody can jump in. But so obviously, just about everybody looks like they're working remotely, which Ann offered a few months. Our firm as well has been at it. I think this is our 9th week. So I suspect we've learned how to work, at least how to make it work. And so what has worked best for remote working for you guys, and how are your clients adapting, or how did they adapt?
I'll say, like, the commute is awesome, and
Right.
all of our staff is really happy about the commute and less gas expenses. And it's been really interesting as we're all in this together. We're finding that it's actually kind of a bonding experience with our clients as well. So for the most part, really seeing it as a plus.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, Lance, I know I've talked to a couple of clients, and one thing we've noticed is it's a lot easier to coordinate complex calendars because there's no more travel time between meetings for people to deal with. And you can kind of go from meeting to meeting. It's a little bit forced us to say, hey, this hour meeting, it's really going to be an hour because my next meeting starts on the hour. And back them up a little bit. Although I will say, I'm not wearing any pants, so dress code is totally different.
We're all dressing down.
What's new?
Yeah.
Hey, Lance, a couple things for me. I find that working remote, the thing that really works well is if you actually have a task to do, you can certainly be a lot more focused. Find collaboration is okay. We're able to, I think, collaborate across the Zoom and then pretty effectively, but it's not quite the same as sitting down with somebody and sketching or something like that. The challenge that I'm finding, and probably some of you guys, since I primarily do business development and don't do that many projects, I don't have that many tasks. So it's kind of a challenge to, you can only call clients so much, and right now it's a really hard time to ask for work. So it's kind of a challenge from that perspective. And we've been trying to find new ways to stay in front of our clients, new ways to, I guess, engage and be helpful and stay a resource to them.
Right.
Yeah. Lance, it's interesting for us. One thing that we found, and I'm sure this is kind of piggybacking off of what Eric was saying a little bit earlier, is that by working remotely, we're finding that, you know, we are a little bit more efficient when it comes to meetings, because, you know, it seems like there's less, or I should say there's more focus on the agenda, and you get through the agenda quicker and more effectively, I think. Obviously, some of the challenges, you know, we have a project right now that's in design, and we're actually, it's in southern Utah. And so we've been working somewhat remotely anyway, but working with the clients, we're right in the middle of schematic design, and it's a challenge, you know, when you're dealing with selecting materials and things like that. Other than that, though, I find that meeting over Zoom or whatever program you use is actually working fairly well. I was actually surprised, you know, at how we're being able to adapt to this new kind of normal.
Sean, I agree with you. I think we have projects in all phases of this, from just starting design. We're in the middle of construction documents on some. We're in construction on some projects, and it's the transition out of the office was actually pretty easy. I mean, we bugged out, you know, back on, I think it was March 13th was our last full day in the office, and it was quick to get set up. You know, we're architects. We live in the cloud. We live in the digital world. So fortunately for our profession, I think most of us would agree we had a fairly easy time getting out and getting set up and moving. I think that the challenge, like, I agree with everything. Staff seem to like working remotely. It saves time, or more efficient, more effective, maybe. The design process is a little bit unique because we haven't worked in this way before. So what I'm doing and what I'm telling my staff and working with my staff is to really understand it, you know, pay attention to it. And what are those little areas that are giving us problems in collaborating that, you know, it's another design problem. We've just never worked this way. We can resolve this once we understand it. So, you know, rather than sitting down beside someone sketching, we're doing it remotely. And there's a little bit of a disconnect, a little bit of a challenge there, but nothing that can't be overcome. We're all creative, talented thinkers.
Yeah.
I think too, like trying to, it forces us to plan ahead a little bit sometimes. So for example, if you're trying to communicate an interiors package or a design inspiration to somebody, we're maybe going to be delivering or sending a physical sample package to somebody just to be able to communicate live what we're talking about. And also, I think this is going to push us more into VR experiences. That's going to become more and more important, where we can share that experience with the client, and our BIM software, of course, helps us do that. So we're trying to really conceive of this as an opportunity to improve how we interact with our clients.
I would agree with that. I think it's going to teach us how to do work that's not here in the future better. I find that we're able to figure it out and make client meetings effective and get clients to engage, and maybe they are more focused. I find it more challenging to collaborate internally, where you might have a lot of sketch paper that you're going through or a lot of samples you're looking at. I found that more challenging than working with the clients, just because that process we value. Enjoy.
Right.
Yeah, we had some of the same concerns, Mike, and challenges, and we got together as a team when the restrictions initially got introduced, and decided to give our team members the option of working remotely or staying in the office. So we've been kind of flexing back and forth between remote and in office. And it's, you know, for those that chose to stay in the office, we got together and said, so, you know, if we're gonna be here together, first of all, we gotta stay in our own space for the most part within the four walls, but also we got to make a commitment to each other that if we're going to come here to work together, we got to go straight home and stay there and then come here again. We're not going out and about and potentially exposing that part of the team that does choose to work in the office, so we can continue to collaborate in person. So it's been kind of a bonding experience and a team building experience in a lot of ways, in conjunction with wearing sweatpants and sneakers to work every day.
Shorts on the, yeah. So how for like morale, and it sounds like everybody's a little more efficient with these meetings, and they're starting and stopping on time. But how about keeping the staff and the morale up? And have you found that to be challenging or working well, or what could you offer with that?
Lance, it's funny. I thought that was going to be the biggest challenge of it all, was keeping people up. And when we first started it, I took it upon myself to send an email every morning to everybody and kind of give them a pep talk kind of a thing. And I did that for about a month, and then Lance did it for a week, and Jason did it for a week, and John did it for a week. Now we've got the whole office doing it. And so everybody's rotating through this, and some of the most profound things are coming through this, and you're getting to know people probably better in some ways than you ever did. And I think people are jazzed about doing that, kind of connecting to people. And so I'm seeing the morale high because of that. We also, the very first week, we have our Beer Friday, and we just did it right over Zoom the very first week. And it's actually starting to get a little tiring of it, but it was a good thing for us to do right out the beginning, so now I do beer every day, but anyways, I think the morale has been the surprise to me. People have really stayed up and stayed positive.
I think we've also tried to make sure that our people have resources and understand the kind of the shifting environment that they're going into. It's obviously much easier to spend extended periods at your desk at home and lose whole days plus because you sit in an office chair. It's not great for ergonomics. It's not great for your body. You lose some of that fitness. And so some of that can also go into the mental well-being of people while they're at home. And so we've tried to send out resources and make sure people are aware of what's happening to them. And then I think what you've done at LGA is a great example too. I think we've also tried to be very direct and expressive in, we're going to do something that is just fun, something that is just a connection. It's different. We wouldn't do this normally because we saw each other normally. There were interactions at the water cooler. There were interactions in the hallway, but you need those. That's part of life. And you might get them from your 3-year-old, but it's not the same as talking about, a great new album that's on your iPod, or, something that you saw at the movie theater over the weekend. So we try to recreate those somehow. And I think that helps with morale.
Yeah,
Craig, we started the virtual happy hour also the first week, and I agree it's getting a little bit tired, right? But I don't know how many weeks we're into this now, 9 or 10. I think we've gone through everyone, but it's right out of the gate. Rather than just sitting around drinking beer together, we took an opportunity to go around and have everybody in the office, we picked somebody first, and everybody got to ask them like one question just about themselves, just to learn more about each other. So that's been kind of fun and successful, and we've gone through that now a full round. But I got to say, the office, we purchased a ping pong table about a month before this pandemic hit. We were gearing up to go kick Carpenter Sellers' ass in a tournament that we were going to challenge them to. And so that ping pong table, I think we all missed the ping pong table. It's sitting in the office, and I'm a little rusty now, Mike. You might have a chance.
Rusty too. There's no one to play with.
I was just going to say earlier, after what Eric was saying too, that it's really easy to work longer days. And so we've also tried to focus on supporting each other with work-life balance. And like we use a messaging app, and like enforcing that it's okay to turn it off at 5 or 5:30, like when you're done with your day, and give each other a break. but it's just, and we have a couple of check-ins every day as well. So that's a chance to vent if we need to, but also it can get people up out of their chairs and move around a little bit, grab a coffee, then talk with us kind of thing. So it's trying to recreate a little bit of that daily routine.
Yeah, you know, for us, it's interesting because we actually have some people that really want to come back to the office. Now, right now we have a handful of people that are working in the office, and so that seems to be working okay. But there's some people that just really want to come back, and there's some people that are thriving at home, you know. And so it's really finding that balance for each individual, you know. And you know, we make our connections with them on a regular basis throughout the week and all of that. But you know, something that Dwayne was saying, you know, it's you need that or sorry, Eric, you need that social connection. And I think that, you know, we're you know, social creatures, and so you know, Zoom is great, you know, email's okay, but I'm looking forward to having the ability to, you know, work with people face to face again, to be honest, you know, because yeah, working remotely, there's some benefits to it, but there's also a lot more benefits to working together collaboratively in a space.
Yeah.
Have you guys found that you have like a better things? Because like personally, I end my day better than I ever have in my whole career, because I've set limits now and said, hey, I shut off at this time, and then I do my exercise, and then I do my hobby or talent, and then it's wife, kids, and I have a structure and I have a ritual that I never had before. I might get home from work at 7, it might be 7:30, it might be 9, it just depends. But it's not that way anymore. I have locked myself into being more reliable with my personal life than I ever have been.
So Eric, do you see that being the work from home, that you had to put structure to it, sounds like?
Yeah, it kind of forced me into turning off. And as Ann mentioned, telling myself it's okay to shut off work. It'll be there tomorrow, and I can run down in my socks and slippers and pick it right up and, you know, right quick.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So has there been, what kind of tech, I guess, you know, we've been talking about design, and it seems like all of us want to get back to that of working together and collaborating. You know, have you guys been able to find any new tools or methods or processes that you think, you know, are helping move the, you know, when you're in the schematic design, that's a very collaborative process, right? And what have you guys found that you've been able to, new ways have you discovered for this? Is there anything that's you can share with us that you might even carry on once we start working together again?
We've been using BIM 360 on one project that that's been ongoing for us, and it's worked really well. It's our first experience, you know, using keeping the Revit model in the cloud, and it's forced us to be more regular with our updates and our consultant coordination. So I think that's a great byproduct. It's easier to do that because everybody has access to the different pieces of the database and exchanges things a little more fluidly, but you still have to manage it. I mean, you can't just let it run itself. But I think you know, the access to the information, no matter whether I'm sitting at my home office or my desk in my office or on my sofa, is really nice. And the client's really liking it too. So that's one technology byproduct of this experience that's been an uptick for us.
I know for us, it's interesting. I don't know that there's anything new that we're doing differently. It's just using the software that we've always had more effectively, I think. You know, we're using Teams, for instance, to communicate internally. We were using that before all of this broke out. However, now it's more intentional. And you know, like you, Troy, we're using BIM 360, and that seems to work pretty well. for us. Other than that, it's like we're just using the same tools that we've been using, just in a little different way, I think.
Have you guys been
Yeah,
able to
Sean,
like the craft of drawing, sketching with technology?
Oh, I still like hand drawing.
Me too. What do you do with that at a distance?
Well, I use iPad. But actually, I've gone away from a physical sketchbook, which pains me greatly. But I do all of my sketching now on an iPad, and it's great.
Yeah, we found like we can link our tablets and our iPads to the Zoom whiteboard. So that's an option that's really easy to use. And we're doing low tech too, where we do a sketch and then we're holding it up to the camera, like, look here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. It's making some people that were maybe more hesitant to draw before draw a little bit more. So we're encouraging that.
Dwayne, I thought you were going to offer something. Maybe.
Oh, I was just going to say that we've been using the BIM 360 as well, successfully on a few projects and teams. We've actually internally with our team, we've completely abandoned email since we left the office, and we're only using Microsoft Teams for communication, for collaborating, and it's fantastic. So we had that at the office. We didn't really use it. We'd yell across the room and whatnot. But now I see us, if we ever go back to a physical office, which is actually something we're considering not doing, we would use that software.
Yeah, that's a good kind of point you bring up, Dwayne. Have you guys been thinking differently? I know a couple of you talked about the physical presence being together to design and collaborate and the impromptu-ness of those conversations. But have you thought about reducing your office or having some people work from home or that kind of consideration, or completely working from home?
Well, it's funny. We're in the process of negotiating a new lease, and right when this hit, and we were going to double our rent and double the size of the office, and I'm not sure that that's a wise move for us, not just because maybe the economy is softening, but I just don't know if that is the future. One thing that to me has been surprising about this is how well everybody has been able to not miss a beat. And the other thing is, I'm a little older than you guys, so I come from the time when if you don't work with anybody except for they're sitting right there at the same desk, right? And that's kind of the way I came up in this profession. And we've always had people that have wanted to come work for us, but they've been in Bulgaria or they've been in Argentina, and we've always just said, no, if you're not here, we can't do it. And I'm just thinking that perhaps the office of the future for us might be talent driven, and there might be people from other places that can work with us just as effectively as if they were in the office. And we may not need to grow the office at all, but we still can grow our staff and our talent, but maybe in a whole different way. Because we have a whole bunch of people that don't want to come back. And it's kind of surprising to me for that, because I cannot wait to get back. But there is a whole bunch of people that are really thriving in this kind of new world, which was a surprise to me. But it's turned out to be true.
Craig, I agree that. Oh, go ahead, Troy.
So, Craig, it's interesting you say that. We had one of our long-term employees, project manager, came to us about 2 years ago or so, and was prepared to leave the firm. He was moving his family to the Houston, Texas area, and so we were trying to help him find work there, and by way of referral and stuff like that. And he came to us and he said, "Hey, would you consider letting me work remotely? I just I love the team. I love what we do. I don't really want to make the change, but I got to move." And so we tried it out, and it's been working great ever since. So he's still leading projects just like he did when he was in the office, and he's been doing it for 2.5 years now. And the client doesn't even know the difference. They request him as the project manager for their team. So I think it's, the opportunity for that, Craig, has always been there. I think we were just always afraid of it, because it was different.
Yeah, Troy, I think it took really this slap in the face to wake us up and see the potential. You know, I think, my personal opinion, I think any firm that does not respond or react in a fiscal way with office space and how they engage with their staff and clients and employees, there's not changes in that firm. I don't think those firms are sustainable moving forward for much longer. You know, who knows where this pandemic is going to end, if there's going to be more waves, if it's one of many, or none of us know that, right? But I know I've had multiple discussions with my staff about, you know, what they want, because it's all of us. It's just not me as the firm principal. We also have, where I live in town here, I live on a large piece of dirt, and I designed a studio probably 3 years ago. And I actually, was it last week or the week before, I actually had one of the guys on the team put that package together, and we're looking to possibly build that studio. And that would be the office on the back of our property, be about half of the size of our current office. I would envision that staff would rotate, you know, by teams or by need. Not everybody would be in there every day. They could work at home as needed, but we're really taking a serious look at this. And I'm frankly pretty excited about what's out there. So I can't say right now today that we'll go back to our office, or if we do, how long we'll be there.
For us, it's been kind of the opposite. Oh, sorry, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, like, we've always been very people-centric in our focus, but this has allowed us to be even that way more so, and recognizing that the flexibility is really key to maintaining talent now more than ever, and that there may be ebbs and flows of these virus or other natural disasters. Like, we've got to address resilience. So we've been talking about the potential of having like a collaboration hub that we do rotate through and come together occasionally, but that's not always, it's a home base, but it's not always where we are, and we can reduce our overhead and maybe even look at overhead sharing with other design firms or other complementary types of businesses. Yep, sorry about that.
I was just going to say that we've thought about all these things as well. But in talking to our people, it seems a vast majority of them want to be back in the office. You know, we've had a few people that are comfortable at home. Now, we're not going to compromise safety. We tell people that, you know, there's no trophy for being the first company back all in the office. And we're not after that trophy anyway. We're not going to do it until it's safe and people are comfortable. And then we've had discussions as to how we would do it at that time, but none of us know when that time is. But the vast majority of our people want to be back together in the office. That's what we've found. That, and our landlord is not willing to negotiate the 25-year lease that we have, since Rick and I own the building. So we're going to stay here.
Yeah,
That guy.
that'll hold you down.
Yeah.
So moving on with, what do you think is the biggest challenge your firm is facing, and really coming out of the COVID-19, and to add to that, maybe what do you think the biggest challenge is for the profession?
Getting enough work. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge we're all going to face. The budgets are getting cut in every place. People are starting to wonder if they should move forward with projects or sit. Construction costs hasn't dropped enough to encourage somebody to want to push a project faster right now because of that. I think there's just too much uncertainty in the world right now. And, you know, this is so different than the last recession in my mind. In the last recession, you could say, you know what, I'm just going to shut it down for a year, and then when it booms again, I'm coming back. It isn't going to happen this time. If you're not staying focused, and like what Dwayne was saying, if you're not making changes and finding a new way to work now, there isn't going to be anything to come back to. So I think that the challenge is finding enough work to sustain our firms, to sustain our staff, and, you know, not just in the short term, but in the long term. Because, like I say, we don't know where this is going to go, and we don't know it could change a lot of the brick and mortar projects we do to begin with. I'm not sure what libraries are going to do. Everybody's developed such strong online presence in so many things. The museums are all doing it. I'm hopeful that they will lead to people wanting to come to those attractions again. But I'm not positive about that, and I just don't know.
Yeah, I think it could go, one of two ways. It's either, this is a quick V-shaped dip, and then there's a talent issue on how do we get talent to deal with the new normals, new reality, or there is the struggle of how do we find work with shrinking budgets and downward work supply. And right now, I think for us, it's been the talent issue, finding enough talent to take care of the work that's out there and that seems to be available. I think the future is somewhat different, but I think it's something we adapt to. I think Craig raises some good questions. What is public space in the future when the public maybe doesn't want to be in the spaces we've created in the past?
Well, I think it is going to be interesting when we look out to the future. It's like, is this going to really change the way we interact with each other? It obviously has already, but will it continue this way? Because we've been humans for a long time, right? And so there's certain things in our psyche that tells us we have to get together, we have to meet, we need that interaction. And I just wonder, obviously, buildings are going to change. The functions in those buildings are going to change in some way. I think one of the challenges is figuring out a way to make buildings function in this kind of new normal, and what are clients going to be needing in the future? How are their needs going to be changing? I think that's going to be really critical moving forward. But there's a part of me, and this is, I don't know if it's because I'm getting old or I'm hopeful or not hopeful, but I think right now, I think we're in somewhat of a, since we don't know a lot of what's going on right now, there's a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, I think. And, I think we're speculating on a lot of stuff that we obviously just don't know what's going to happen. But my contention is that I feel like the human condition is the human condition. And so at some point we're going to find an equilibrium, and it might look a little different than it is today, but I think we'll get there, and we're going to, we'll figure out a way to move forward.
I agree with Sean. I don't, again, we have to get through this period. We have to know it's safe. And I don't know if that takes a year, 2 years, or 3 years, or whatever it takes. But I think eventually we're all going to want to go do the things that we've always done. I'm ready to go to a Rebel game. I'm ready to go to a Golden Knights game. I'm not going to do it today. I may not do it in a couple months. I may not do it in 5 months, but I'm ready for that. And I think everybody is. And I don't know, I think that the great thing about our profession is we design spaces that bring people together. And yeah, we're going to have to adapt. We're going to have to lead how we change in that. And a lot of times we haven't been out front like we could as a profession. But yeah, I think eventually we're going to be doing the same things that we all enjoy.
I'll just offer again too, I think this comes back to kind of this idea of resilient mindset, where we really do have to be prepared for ebbs and flows and maybe kind of a more nomadic existence than we've had before, where we're going, we're at the office when we can be, but we're in our remote locations when we can be. And so, and for our clients, this is like a new lens that we see the world with, where we recognize some challenges or threats or opportunities that we didn't know about before. And so like right now, we can go back to our current clients and reimagine ways to help them be safer and better in their environments. And also, I think as we're looking forward into new markets, we need to, just like we're thinking about, young graduates coming out of school right now, like what are they coming out into? And are these skill sets that we can take into parallel markets, and are those markets that we can move into too, that it's maybe broader than how we've always imagined bricks and mortar until this point.
Yeah. So
Lance, I wanted to just say one more thing about this, and it's been fantastic to watch the world kind of become green again, right? Skies are blue. You could see the forest, animals are moving around, and that happened because people stayed at home and were less traffic on the roads. And so I think if we as a species don't learn something from this, I think we almost have a responsibility to look at alternate ways of working and reducing that carbon footprint. And I think we just, over the past 2 months, we've seen a pretty clear example of how to do that.
yeah, that's a good point, Dwayne. There's been a lot of talk about that. It took a dramatic effect like this, or a dramatic circumstance, to kind of demonstrate what it takes to get to where we need to go. So there's a lot to be learned from that. And this kind of goes into my next question about, looking forward with our younger generation of architects. How is this affecting them? And how do we prevent from losing another generation of, if we're downsizing or having to deal with another recession, how do we maintain and not have this gap like we got 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and we don't go through that again? What are you guys doing to kind of keep with your younger generation and bringing in new staff or summer workers or something like that?
I think the cream still rises to the top, right? The best graduates are still going to find jobs. I truly believe that. And, but it's also a great time to get a PhD. If you're in school right now, stay in school as long as you can. And I think for them too, to really, work on their skills that are going to make them a unicorn. And, the unique skills that they're going to bring to the table that, those of us who've been stuck in our ways aren't thinking about. And I think it would be a shame for us not to continue to foster young people in our offices, because they always bring something. They always bring something that we're not thinking of. They always have a unique way of looking at problems, a unique way of looking at a design. They always bring software that, they work on in school that we weren't aware of. So, I definitely think, unfortunately, there's not going to be a ton of jobs out there, but I think, again, the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say is that I think as you, I kind of predict in the next couple of years, we're all going to rework the service offerings that we provide. I think we're providing a lot more things than we provide today. And I think we're going to be offering other value propositions that some of us have wanted to, and we've tried, and maybe they didn't work all that well, but I think we're going to give them another shot. I don't know exactly what that all means yet, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But I found I could be on the speaking gig right now and speak 5 times a week. There's so much people that want to hear things and stuff. So I mean, there's other things we can be doing, and I think the next generation is going to even be more apt to figure that kind of stuff out. So that's what I'm encouraged about. I think the younger people that we got coming out of the recession are now starting to be the leaders of our firms, and those folks think differently than my generation. And I think the next generation will think even differently. And I think it'll still evolve. It's going to be different. But there's still going to be work for people. We're just going to have to maybe manufacture some of it in a different.
Yeah, and I think the hope is that we have a firm of people who are open-minded and ever seeking knowledge and improvement, and that bringing in those young minds helps assist with that. It used to be expertise, siloed expertise was a desirable position, but I think now it's that hunger for knowledge and improvement that makes you a desirable asset as not just a firm, but as an architect in general. And if you're not bringing in that agitator of the new, young, fresh minds, I don't think you're getting the influence that you need within your firm. So we always want to make room for, I don't mean to call them agitators, but I will, because they're kind of like the catfish, right, that swim around in the cod tanks.
I like it.
Great. So we're kind of getting to the end here, and I'm just going to ask you one last question, but kind of go around to each of you and just kind of give it in a sentence or two. But what are you most excited about? What you've gone through that you want to take with you into the future, coming out of this pandemic? And so, Sean, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, what's interesting to me is that I'm finding there's some excitement in terms of, what's the firm going to look like in a year, 5 years from now? I'm excited about looking at different opportunities. I was talking to one of my friends a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying, it's like, man, what our firm might be doing stuff that we don't even consider architecture, these days. And so to me, that's exciting. That there could be something completely different out there that we start to do as we kind of navigate this crazy time.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of possibilities out there, to be honest.
And Dwayne, how about you?
Lance, I think it's just, I think the unknown is a little bit exciting, right? We're very innovative people as a group. We're trained and educated that way, and I think creative thinkers. And everybody here on this panel and everybody listening has ideas of what they may want to look at doing. I think collaborating with others, I think, this really showed us that we don't have to be in the same office or in the same room or in the same town. I think this opened up the entire world. So I think there's tremendous opportunity that's going to come out of this. It may be different, but it's going to be a lot of exciting opportunities.
Yeah, great. And Mike?
So just as a firm, we've always tried to do lots of different types of projects, lots of different typologies, because we enjoy it and we never wanted to get stuck in any one thing. Well, every typology just changed. So now it's a chance for us to rethink every type of project that we do. And for us, I mean, that's what's so fun about design, right? You start with a blank sheet of paper and who knows where it's going to take you. And now we have to think a little harder and we have new challenges. So to me, that's exciting.
Good. And Troy?
So I'm not saying I'm running for office anytime soon, but I think the opportunity to lead our communities out of this is really huge. For us to step forward as problem solvers and creative thinkers and come up with solutions to larger problems, the opportunity is right there, and I think we're perfectly trained for it as professionals to lead in those areas, and I think that's where we'll find our new normal. I think that's where we'll find our ways to do things and provide those different services that Craig was talking about in the future as we go forward, and that's how we'll become sustainable and invaluable to our colleagues and our communities.
All right. And Anne, we'll go to you next.
Oh, sure. So I think we have more courage now about regional work and teaming work because everyone's skill sets in those areas are coming up, including ours. And also, like our core service offerings have been the commercial, multifamily, and public art. And so public art had already opened up into that regional area a little bit. But I think our next service offerings evolution will be more community engagement as a result of this whole experience. And to support all of that, I think we'll be looking at how we evolve our workshop space. And that's pretty exciting too.
Yeah. And Craig? We got you on mute, Craig.
All right. Well, you were probably happy that I was on mute. But, a couple of things for me that have been kind of profound. I've been able to think a lot more than I have about the profession, about how to shift our brand of our firm, how to teach and how to I ever had time for. And I'm starting to feel that that's probably for me, that's my next place. And so I'm finding kind of a space for myself again within the firm. And so that's kind of interesting. Then I think about the overall firm, and I think the opportunities to work in different places. It used to be that you used to have to go plant a flag somewhere. And I don't think you're going to have to do that anymore. I think people are going to be very comfortable working with you wherever you are. And I see the opportunities for us to be very narrow focused on the kind of work we do, but do it maybe in different places. So.
Yeah. Thanks. And Eric, we'll end with you.
Well, first I want to say, Troy, you know, if you want to run mayor of Las Vegas, you got my vote. I mean, I think there's an opening in my mind. But yeah, one thing I'm really excited about, I was worried as a firm leader going into this about, you know, how are we going to react? And I've just been super excited about the way that people have come together, people have responded to this and been able to carry on doing work. And it's kind of like discovering a superpower that you didn't realize your people had, in the ability to carry on and do great things. And I'm just excited about seeing how that is going to play into the old normal when things come back to an ability to actually have a choice to come back into the world and have this choice to stay home and work at a distance. What power that can bring to architecture. And I think a lot of what has been said here, no matter where we are, we can serve clients, we can improve communities. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the future and what that means for architects, not just in Las Vegas, but the world over.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So we have a couple questions here. So I'll go ahead and read them. Any of you could jump in. Rick is asking, how are you dealing with productivity and deadlines with those employees who aren't as strong at working independently without regular mentor or supervision?
Well, for us, it's increased check-in and review. In some cases a daily deliverable instead of a weekly deliverable, you know, from each and every member of the team. So it's actually made some of our projects, our documents, better in a way because we're getting more eyes on them more regularly.
Yeah, I would agree.
And Lance,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've seen people really step up. You know, they understand the circumstances that we're in, and they see the opportunity, and have really taken the bull by the horns and really have stepped up and you know, becoming leaders and mentors and whatnot. So that's been great.
Yeah, I know for me, it's actually, I think it's challenging me as a leader, which is good. You know, it's making me think in a different way, having to work with staff remotely. And, you know, going back to a comment earlier, yeah, like daily tasks or, you know, these really quick deadlines, you know, are so important. And so it's helping me organize my thoughts and everything so I can help the team where they need the support. And so I think that's one of the really interesting things about this, you know, and because of that, I think we're becoming more efficient and effective.
Yeah, and I think this is maybe one of those wrinkles of the new normal where I remember as a young architect, I was drawing details on the CCRF car rental facility out at McCarran, and I was working from sketches from the designer that was putting these steel details together. And I was probably at his desk every 45 minutes, right? He would draw something up and I would draft it and I'd print it off and I'd come back and I'd say, is this about right? And he'd redline it and I'd go back and figure it out. And we'd talk about what the connections were. That level of mentoring, I think sometimes is best done in that one-on-one space. And so I think that's where having the opportunity to have an office space where we can be together when someone is at that level will help. Right now, obviously, we can do it distance, and we do it distance, but I'd like to have the opportunity to give that person more interaction on a less formal level.
Okay. Great. So we have one other last question here, and there's two of the same, so I'll kind of combine them. But Deborah and Angela are kind of both asking the same thing about, what amount of your projects have been put on hold or canceled, and what type of projects are those?
0.
Wow. Well, we had just won the culinary union headquarters, and with 60,000 of their 70,000 employees out of work, that certainly put on hold. But fortunate for us, we've had a lot of good work and good clients, and some clients are continuing to move forward. So, but there are some big ones that I think are at least postponed.
Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat where we've had just luckily though, just a few projects being stopped at this point, but they're all governmental type projects. I think we've had 1 or 2 small private projects as well kind of go on hold, but there's, right now there seems to be a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel with all of those jobs coming back. They haven't completely stopped at this point.
It's been a mix for us too, and I think we are fortunate. We had a couple of projects go on hold, bunch continue. We had one client put their project on hold, and 3 days later we went back to them and presented them a plan as to how we can do the project effective digitally, and they accepted it, and project's now moving forward. We had some big projects go on hold, and we were really bummed about it, and then luck changed and they came back. So it's been a mix. I think what I think about more than that is, for all of us, what phone calls haven't we received or emails haven't we received that we'll never know that we didn't get, because people were sitting there thinking they were going to start a project tomorrow, next month, 2 months from now, and they had conversations in their own organization, public or private. Hey, let's wait on this. But we don't know what we didn't get. We didn't know what we didn't have the opportunity to get. So I think about that more than what we have right now in terms of opportunity for the long term.
So we've got stuff in the field. So those construction projects have continued, and there's been lots of talk about how we keep those sites safe. The biggest drops or holds on projects have been like multi-use, mixed-use venue that have entertainment venues associated with them. Entertainment venues and restaurants, because people are just really trying to figure out what is this going to be moving forward, because it could change all of the calculations for required square footage. Is it just a carry out stop now, or is it actually restaurant seating? Like, what is it going to be?
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. Some of the most interesting project cancellations to me, I mean, aside from the business development challenges, have been the ones that and we had a music venue that we actually submitted for permit, and the client is now saying we're going to hold off on that until next year because we really need to understand, can we even sell that many tickets for a small venue like that anymore? Are we going to be allowed to put that many people in the space? Can we even service it anymore properly in a safe way in terms of beverage delivery? So I think those are the really kind of interesting project questions that are coming up now as things get canceled. In the hospitality market, we've seen like Mike, we've seen a mixed bag. We've got some clients that have furloughed their entire design and development and construction staffs, but maybe 1 or 2 people. And we have a couple other clients that are full steam ahead, haven't canceled anything, want to have the projects ready to roll when we come out of this. So we're seeing a little bit of everything.
We've experienced, I was getting that echo. Anyway, we've experienced a few projects that have been stopped or put on pause, and I think they will come back, but feel very fortunate that we've started new projects that over the past 2 months, nice projects that for whatever reason, we're pretty balanced out. I mean, it's, you know, it's so odd to think that if those projects hadn't been put on hold that we would be looking to hire right now. So I mean, there's certainly people out there, I'm sure, that are looking for work, but feel pretty lucky to be where we're at. But again, you know, what happens in the fourth quarter of this year? Is there going to be work for all of us? That's the unknown.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place to end, Dwayne, is maybe what we'll do is give it about 2 or 3 months and maybe come and have this conversation again and see what's changed and what we know more, you know. So I want to thank you guys all for your time. I think it's been a great discussion, and say thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of our participants, and thank you to our sponsors. Again, the meeting has been recorded, so you will all be able to watch this on the AI Las Vegas website, and I'm sure we will send this out to all the members who didn't get a chance to join this. So just a few quick notes here before we wrap up. We do have a June membership meeting that's going to be online as well, so that will be virtual. Join us on June 17th, where we'll have Vincent Martinez with Architecture 2030. He's going to talk about getting to zero. So talking about all the carbon reductions and climate change for this year. So join us then on the 17th. And then also we have the AI golf tournament that is currently still scheduled to happen on September 14th. So it is moving forward. It's the 47th annual Las Vegas tournament. So if you haven't secured a team, you still can reach out to Kelly Levine. We are monitoring that. I think everybody's probably aware golf courses have been opening. So we're trying to keep that on track, but we're also monitoring that as we go through. And then lastly, the Learn About Turnabout product show is happening as well on September 2nd. So that one is happening. We're keeping an eye on that as well. But if you're looking for a booth, there's still some available. You can reach out to Kelly for that one as well. But again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Great conversation, and stay safe and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care.